My name is Kira, a trained secret assassin. They turned me into the perfect weapon. Trained me for 3 years. Gave me one target. Kang Ji-hoon, a crime lord, and the most dangerous man in Seoul. The man who murdered my sister Sarah. I had the perfect cover, the perfect plan. 3 weeks as his maid to learn his routine. Then 1 bullet. Justice for my sister Sarah. But I discovered the truth that shattered everything. He wasn't the monster they told me he was. It was all a setup. And now at the Seoul Aquarium, everything explodes. And I have to choose. The mission, or follow my heart. Hit the like button. Bell subscribe to this channel for part 2. As what happens will change everything. The bullet tore through the training dummy's head, synthetic blood spraying across the concrete walls. Kira didn't flinch. Her hand was steady, her breathing controlled, her eyes cold as winter steel. 28 years old, half Nigerian, half Korean, and she'd already lost count of how many kills she'd accumulated. But this one would be different. This one was personal. Impressive as always, Agent Kira. Director Choi's voice echoed through the underground firing range, smooth and controlled like everything else about him. He emerged from the shadows, a folder tucked under his arm, his silver hair perfectly styled despite the late hour. But we both know you can make that shot in your sleep. That's not why I called you here. Kira lowered her weapon, ejecting the magazine with practiced ease. Then why am I here, sir? It's 3 in the morning. Because I'm offering you something no amount of training can provide. Choi stepped closer, his polished shoes clicking against the floor. Closure. The word hung in the air like smoke. Kira's jaw tightened, her finger instinctively finding the trigger guard though her gun was already empty. What are you talking about? Choi opened the folder, revealing a photograph that made Kira's world tilt. A woman's body, sprawled across pavement, dark hair fanned around her head like a halo. But it was the symbol that stole Kira's breath, a dragon tattoo, drawn in the victim's own blood on the concrete beside her. Sarah. The name came out as a whisper, broken and raw. Kira's hand shot out, grabbing the photo with shaking fingers. 3 years. It had been 3 years since her sister's murder. 3 years since the police had closed the case as gang-related violence. 3 years since Kira had abandoned journalism like Sarah and picked up a gun instead. The Kang Syndicate, Choi said quietly, pulling out another photograph. Seoul's most powerful criminal organization. Your sister was investigating them when she died. She got too close, asked too many questions. He placed the second photo on top of the first. This is the man who ordered her execution. Kang Ji-hoon. Kira stared at the surveillance image. The photo was grainy, taken from a distance, showing a figure surrounded by bodyguards. She couldn't make out details, just the impression of someone powerful, untouchable. He's 29 years old and more ruthless than his father ever was. Choi continued. Took over the organization at 23 after his father's death. Built an empire on blood and fear. He's responsible for weapons trafficking, drug distribution, and at least 40 confirmed murders, including Sarah's. Kira's hands were shaking now, grief and rage warring inside her chest. Where is he? Untouchable. The most protected man in Seoul. His estate is a fortress, his security impenetrable, his people loyal to the death. Choi paused, watching her carefully. But he has one vulnerability. One crack in his armor. What vulnerability? He's a father. 7-year-old son, Min-jun. The boy's mother died 2 years ago, officially a rival gang execution, though our intelligence suggests it was government-related. Doesn't matter. What matters is that Ji-hoon is paranoid about his son's safety. He cycles through household staff constantly, never trusting anyone for long, which means he needs a new maid. Understanding crashed through Kira like a wave. You want me to infiltrate as domestic help. I want you to get close. Learn his patterns, his weaknesses, his secrets. And when the moment is right. Choi mimed a gun with his fingers, pressing them against his temple. One shot. Justice for Sarah. Justice for all his victims. Kira looked down at her sister's photo again. Sarah had been the good one, the idealistic one, believing she could change the world with words and truth. And they'd killed her for it. Left her body in an alley with that damn dragon symbol like she was nothing more than a warning. How long do I have? As long as it takes. But Kira, Choi's voice turned hard. This is off the books. If you're caught, we disavow everything. You'll be on your own. I understand. And one more thing. No mercy. No hesitation. Ji-hoon might have a son, might play at being human, but he's a monster. Remember that. Remember what he took from you. Kira's finger traced the edge of Sarah's photograph, following the curve of her sister's face one last time. For Sarah, she whispered. For Sarah, Choi agreed. Now go. Your cover documentation is ready. You start tomorrow. The Kang estate loomed before Kira like something from a nightmare, or a fairy tale, depending on your perspective. Massive iron gates, security cameras visible on every corner, guards in dark suits positioned at strategic intervals. Beyond the gates, she could see manicured gardens, marble fountains, and a mansion that looked like it belonged to royalty rather than criminals. Kira adjusted the modest black dress she wore, her hands sweating despite the cool morning air. She'd left everything behind, her weapons, her identification, her entire life, and taken on a new identity. Park Ji-hoon, 26, with references from two wealthy families in Busan and a background so thoroughly fabricated that even she almost believed it. State your business. The guard at the gate didn't look at her, his eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses despite the overcast sky. I'm here for the maid position. I have an appointment. The guard spoke into his radio in rapid Korean, then nodded curtly. Proceed to the service entrance. Someone will meet you. The gates swung open with an ominous creak. Kira walked through, her heart hammering against her ribs. Every instinct she'd honed over years of field work screamed at her to assess, to analyze, to prepare for threats. She counted 12 visible security personnel, noted 4 cameras in the front courtyard alone, marked 3 potential exit routes. This was it. She was walking into the den of the man who'd murdered her sister. And she was supposed to serve him tea. The service entrance led to a sterile kitchen where a woman in her 50s waited, arms crossed, expression skeptical. Park Ji-hoon. Yes, ma'am. I'm Mrs. Beck, head of household staff. You're the 5th maid candidate this month, so don't expect special treatment. Mr. Kang has very specific requirements. She looked Kira up and down critically. Can you cook? Yes, ma'am. Traditional Korean cuisine, some Western dishes, basic. Fine. Can you keep your mouth shut? The question caught Kira off guard. Excuse me. You'll see things in this house. Things that aren't your concern. Things you don't ask about, don't gossip about, don't even think about when you leave these walls. Can you do that? Kira thought of Sarah's body, the dragon symbol, the years of grief. Yes, I can do that. Mrs. Beck studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Mr. Kang will want to approve you personally. Wait here. The older woman disappeared through a set of double doors, leaving Kira alone in the cavernous kitchen. She used the time to memorize every detail, the knife block by the cutting board, the door that likely led to storage, the window that overlooked a side garden. In her mind, she was already planning, already calculating. The doors burst open. Kira spun around, and every coherent thought fled her mind. He was nothing like she'd expected, nothing like the blurred surveillance photo or the aging crime lord she'd imagined. Kang Ji-hoon was young. 29 looked more like 25, and devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous. His black hair was pushed back carelessly, his white dress shirt rolled up to reveal forearms covered in intricate tattoos. And there, winding up his neck and disappearing beneath his collar, was the dragon. The same dragon that had been drawn in Sarah's blood. Kira's vision went red for a split second. Her hands clenched at her sides, every muscle coiling with the instinct to attack, to hurt, to kill. 3 years of grief and rage compressed into one moment of pure hatred. But she held herself still, forced her face into neutral lines, became the meek maid she was supposed to be. Ji-hoon didn't even look at her. He was reading something on his phone, his expression cold and distant. When he finally glanced up, his eyes, dark and unreadable, swept over her with all the interest of someone appraising furniture. You're the new candidate? His voice was deep, bored. Yes, sir. Park Ji-hoon. Qualifications: 5 years of domestic service. Experience with children. References from. I don't care about references. Everyone lies. He pocketed his phone, moving closer. Kira caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something sharper. Gunpowder, maybe, or blood. Here's what matters. You follow orders without question. You don't go in the West Wing. You don't ask about my business. And you absolutely do not touch my son. Are we clear? The mention of the boy sent an unexpected pang through Kira's chest. She'd read the file on Min-jun during her preparation. 7 years old, motherless, trapped in this world of violence. Just like she'd been trapped after losing Sarah. Crystal clear, sir. Ji-hoon studied her for another moment, and Kira had the uncomfortable sensation of being dissected. As if those dark eyes could see through her careful disguise to the assassin beneath. Then he turned away dismissively. Mrs. Beck will show you your quarters. You start tomorrow. 6 a.m. Don't be late. He was almost to the door when Kira heard it, a sound that made her training falter. Crying. A child's desperate, broken crying coming from somewhere above them. Ji-hoon froze. His jaw clenched, a muscle twitching beneath his tattooed skin. For just a second, the cold crime lord facade cracked, revealing something raw underneath. That's... Mrs. Beck started to explain, but Ji-hoon cut her off with a sharp gesture. Show her out. We're done here. But the crying continued, escalating into frightened sobs. Kira recognized trauma when she heard it. Recognized the particular sound of someone lost in a nightmare with no one to pull them back. Before she could think better of it, before training and common sense could reassert control, Kira spoke. The boys sound scared. Ji-hoon turned slowly, danger radiating from every line of his body. Excuse me. Your son. He sounds like he's having a nightmare. I have experience with. You have experience doing what you're told. Which right now means leaving. His voice was deadly quiet. My son is none of your concern. But, get out. Mrs. Beck grabbed Kira's arm, pulling her toward the exit. But as she was hustled away, Kira looked back. Ji-hoon stood in the doorway, hands clenched into fists, staring up at the ceiling where his son's cries echoed through the mansion. And on his face was an expression Kira hadn't expected to see. Helplessness, grief, love. For just a moment, he didn't look like a ruthless crime lord. He looked like a broken father who didn't know how to save his child from demons. Then the door closed, and Kira was outside in the cold morning air, her mind reeling. The first day was surveillance disguised as servitude. Kira moved through the mansion's ground floor with a mop and bucket, learning the layout, noting security patterns, identifying potential vulnerabilities. The house was enormous. 3 floors, countless rooms, security so tight that even the maids had restricted access. She counted 15 guards on the day shift, 8 cameras in the main hallways, and 3 separate checkpoints between the public areas and the private West Wing where Ji-hoon and his son lived. The man truly was paranoid, or perhaps just pragmatic, given his line of work. But paranoia created patterns, and patterns created opportunities. Kira was cleaning the main staircase when she heard it again, crying from the upper floors. It was day 3 now, and she'd heard it twice more. Always at night, always the same desperate quality. Min-jun's nightmares, apparently, were consistent. Poor little thing. Mrs. Beck appeared beside her, shaking her head sadly. Been like this since his mother died. Gets worse every month. Kira kept her expression neutral, her hands steady on the mop. Doesn't his father comfort him? Mr. Kang tries. But he's not. He doesn't know how. His own father raised him with fists and fear. He's trying to be different, but Mrs. Beck caught herself, looking guilty. I'm talking too much. Back to work. But the seed was planted. Kira's mind turned it over, examining it from every angle. A grieving child. A father who didn't know how to help. An opportunity to gain access to the restricted West Wing. She just had to be patient. The opportunity came on the 5th night. Kira was in her small room, little more than a closet on the 1st floor, when she heard footsteps rushing past. Urgent voices. Then Ji-hoon's voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Where the hell is Dr. Kim? My son can't breathe. Kira was moving before she thought about it, instinct overriding caution. She reached the restricted hallway to find it in chaos. Guards standing uncertainly, Mrs. Beck wringing her hands, and Ji-hoon bursting out of a room with panic etched across his features. The doctor's 20 minutes away, someone reported. 20 minutes? He needs help now. Kira saw her chance. I have medical training. Basic emergency response. I can help until the doctor arrives. Every head turned toward her. Ji-hoon's eyes narrowed with immediate suspicion. You're the maid. I was a paramedic. Before I went into domestic work. Please, if he can't breathe. She didn't wait for permission. Kira pushed past the guards into the room, and her heart twisted despite itself. Min-jun was small for 7. curled up on an enormous bed, struggling to draw breath. His face was flushed, tears streaming down his cheeks, hands clutching at his throat. Panic attack, Kira's training supplied immediately. Severe anxiety response. She dropped to her knees beside the bed, her voice automatically softening. Hey, sweetheart. Can you hear me? My name is Ji-hoon. I'm going to help you breathe, okay? The boy's terrified eyes found hers. Up close, she could see he had his father's dark hair, but softer features. His mother's, probably. He tried to speak, but couldn't force air past his constricted throat. Don't talk. Just listen to my voice. Kira demonstrated slow, deep breathing. In through your nose, count to 4. Out through your mouth, count to 6. Watch me. In 2, 3, 4. Ji-hoon appeared in her peripheral vision, hovering nearby, his earlier coldness replaced by raw fear. Is he? He's having a panic attack. He's not in physical danger, but he needs to calm down. Sir, I need you to step back. You're scaring him more. I'm his father. And right now, he's feeding off your anxiety. Please. For a moment, she thought Ji-hoon would refuse. Would throw her out, maybe kill her for speaking to him that way. But he took 2 steps back, hands clenched so tight his knuckles went white. Kira focused back on Min-joon. That's good, buddy. You're doing great. Keep breathing with me. In 2, 3, 4. She placed one hand gently on his chest, feeling his racing heartbeat begin to slow. Your dad told me you like drawing. What do you like to draw? The question was deliberate, engaging his conscious mind, pulling him out of the panic spiral. Min-joon managed a stuttering breath. Dragons. Dragons? That's so cool. What kind of dragons? Big scary ones or friendly ones? Friendly. Another breath, deeper this time. Mommy liked dragons. I bet your mommy would love your drawings. Can you draw me one tomorrow? I'd really like to see it. Min-joon nodded, his breathing finally evening out. The panic was passing, leaving exhaustion in its wake. He slumped against Kira, small body trembling with aftermath. You're so brave, Kira whispered, and meant it. This child had survived trauma that would break adults. The worst is over. You're safe now. Don't go. Min-joon's small hand clutched at her sleeve. Please don't go. Everyone always goes. Kira's throat tightened. Behind her, she heard Ji-hoon make a sound like he'd been punched. She should pull away, maintain professional distance. Remember, this was all manipulation to get closer to her target. But Min-joon's desperate grip and the grief in his eyes, it was too real, too raw. I won't go anywhere, she heard herself promise. Not tonight. She stayed there, sitting on the edge of the bed, until Min-joon's breathing deepened into sleep. When she finally stood, every muscle aching from staying still so long, she found Ji-hoon still in the room. He'd moved to the window, silhouetted against the city lights, his shoulders rigid with tension. The doctor's here, he said without turning. Mrs. Beck will show you out. He should be fine now. It was just. I know what it was. Ji-hoon's voice was rough. I know my son has panic attacks. I know he has nightmares. I know he's traumatized, and I don't. He stopped abruptly, his hand forming a fist against the window. Thank you for helping him. Kira should have left then, should have nodded and backed away and maintained her cover. But something made her pause. Maybe it was the defeated slump of his shoulders. Maybe it was the way he'd said I don't and cut himself off, unable to admit his own helplessness. Or maybe it was because, for just a moment, he reminded her of herself after Sarah died. He said everyone always leaves. Kira spoke quietly. What did he mean? His mother left. Died, I mean. Then 4 nannies quit because they were scared of me. 3 more I fired because they were neglectful. 2 got too attached, and I had to remove them before. Ji-hoon finally turned, and the look on his face was unguarded, broken. Before they became targets. Everyone in my world ends up dead or gone. Min-joon knows that. He's 7 and he knows that. So you keep him at a distance. Don't let anyone get close. I keep him alive. The hardness returned to Ji-hoon's voice, the crime lord reasserting control over the grieving father. That's all that matters. Now get out. And don't mention this to anyone. My son's weakness is nobody's business. Kira wanted to argue that fear wasn't weakness, that this child needed help, not isolation. But she bit her tongue, bowed respectfully, and left. As she walked back to her quarters, past guards who watched her with new wariness, Kira's mind raced. She'd gained access to the West Wing, proven herself useful, made contact with Min-joon. All tactical advantages. So why did she feel sick? Why did Min Jun's desperate, everyone always goes, keep echoing in her mind like an accusation? She pushed the feelings aside. This was the mission. Get close, gather intelligence, wait for the perfect moment. Ji-hoon had ordered Sarah's death. Had probably done it himself, given his reputation. The dragon tattoo on his neck was all the evidence she needed. Remember what he took from you, Director Choi had said. Kira would remember. She'd remember, and she'd complete the mission. No matter how haunted a 7-year-old's eyes looked. No matter how broken his father's voice sounded. For Sarah. Everything was for Sarah. The days blurred together after that night. Kira found herself called to the West Wing more frequently, not by Ji-hoon, but by Min Jun himself. The boy had latched onto her with the desperate intensity of someone who'd learned that people were temporary. He showed her his drawings, dragons, always dragons, mixed with stick figures of families. He told her about his mother, beautiful, kind, loved stories. He asked her questions that broke her heart. Will you leave too? Do you think my mommy watches from heaven? And Kira, despite every warning her training screamed, found herself answering honestly. Found herself sitting with him after nightmares, reading him stories, teaching him to make paper cranes like Sarah used to make with her. You're good with him. Ji-hoon's voice startled her one afternoon. She'd been in the garden with Min Jun, watching him chase butterflies, and hadn't heard Ji-hoon approach. The crime lord moved with a predator's grace, silent and lethal. Kira stood quickly, instinctively deferential. He's a sweet child, sir. He trusts you. That's rare. Ji-hoon was studying her with those dark, unreadable eyes. Today he wore a black suit, perfectly tailored, but Kira could see the edge of his dragon tattoo above his collar. The sight made her stomach clench with remembered rage. Why? Why does he trust me? Why do you care? You're just a maid. He's just your employer's son. But I see how you look at him. Like he matters. Kira chose her words carefully. Every child matters. And Min Jun's been through a lot. He deserves someone who sees that. Careful. Ji-hoon stepped closer, and Kira caught that scent again, cologne and danger. You're starting to sound like someone who cares. People who care in my world end up dead. Is that a threat, sir? It's a warning. His hand reached out, and Kira tensed, ready for violence. But Ji-hoon just plucked a leaf from her hair, his fingers brushing her temple in a touch that felt deliberately intimate. You're not what you seem, Park Ji-yeon. I don't know what you are yet, but I will figure it out. He walked away before Kira could respond, leaving her standing there with her heart racing and her mind screaming warnings. He suspected something. She needed to be more careful, needed to maintain better cover, needed to remember why she was here. But that night, when Min Jun had another nightmare and called for her, Kira went. And when Ji-hoon found her there at 2 a.m., sitting on his son's bed reading fairy tales, he didn't order her out. He just stood in the doorway, watching, his expression unreadable. His mother used to read to him, Ji-hoon said finally. Every night. I tried to keep the tradition, but I'm not good at voices. At making the stories come alive. Would you like to learn? I could teach you. Ji-hoon looked at her like she'd suggested something impossible. Why would you do that? Because he's your son. And he needs his father. He needs to be safe. That's all I can give him. He needs to be loved. Safety isn't enough. The words hung between them, heavy with implications neither acknowledged. Ji-hoon's jaw clenched, a muscle twitching beneath his tattooed skin. For a moment, Kira thought she'd gone too far, pushed too hard. Then he moved into the room, settling carefully on the opposite side of Min Jun's bed. Show me. How do you make the dragon's voice different from the knight's? So Kira taught him. And somewhere in that surreal midnight hour, sitting across from the man she'd been sent to kill, teaching him how to be a better father to his son, Kira felt something crack inside her carefully constructed walls. This wasn't the plan. None of this was the plan. You're compromised. Director Choi's voice was cold through the encrypted phone line. Kira had snuck out to make the call from a secure location, knowing she was overdue for a check-in. I can hear it in your voice. You're getting attached. I'm maintaining my cover, Kira argued, pacing in the small park 3 blocks from the estate. It was midnight, the streets empty, but she still kept her voice low. I have access to the West Wing now. To Ji-hoon's personal spaces. I'm gathering intelligence. Intelligence? You've been there 3 weeks, and I haven't received a single useful report. No security details, no financial records, no evidence of his operations. What exactly are you gathering? Kira's jaw clenched. He's careful. Everything is compartmentalized. I need more time to. More time to what? Play house with the man who murdered your sister? I've seen the surveillance reports. Kira, you're reading bedtime stories to his son. You're having late-night conversations with Ji-hoon himself. This isn't infiltration. This is fraternization. I'm building trust. That's how deep cover works. Building trust. Choi's laugh was harsh. Or building feelings. Remember what he is, Agent Song. Remember what he took from you. Sarah deserves justice, not your sympathy for her killer. The mention of Sarah sent a spike of guilt through Kira's chest. She hadn't thought about her sister, really thought about her, in days. Had been so focused on Min-jun's nightmares and Ji-hoon's rare smiles that she'd pushed aside the whole reason she was here. I haven't forgotten, Sarah. Then prove it. You have 72 hours to complete the mission, or I'm extracting you. And Kira? Don't make me send someone else to finish what you started. I'd hate for that little boy to lose another maternal figure. The call disconnected. Kira stood in the darkness, Choi's words echoing in her mind. The threat was clear. Complete the mission or they'd send another assassin. One who wouldn't care about collateral damage. One who might not hesitate to eliminate Min-jun as a witness. Kira's hands shook as she walked back to the estate. She had to finish this. Had to remember why she'd accepted this mission in the first place. Ji-hoon was a criminal, a killer, the man responsible for Sarah's death. The dragon tattoo he wore so proudly was a symbol of everything he'd taken from her. She just needed the right moment. The right opportunity. 3 days. She had 3 days. The moment came faster than expected. Kira was in Ji-hoon's office late one evening, ostensibly cleaning, when he entered unexpectedly. His white shirt was spattered with blood, not his, based on his casual demeanor, and his knuckles were bruised and bleeding. Get out, he said flatly. Kira should have obeyed, should have bowed and left. But she found herself frozen, staring at the blood, wondering whose it was. Wondering if this was who Ji-hoon really was beneath the careful father act. A monster who came home covered in violence. I said get out. Ji-hoon's voice was dangerous now. You're hurt. The words came out before Kira could stop them. It's not my blood. Now leave before. He stopped, swaying slightly. Up close, Kira could see he was exhausted, running on fumes, the cold mask slipping to reveal something raw underneath. Sit down before you fall down. Kira moved to him, guided him to the leather chair behind his desk. Where's your first aid kit? Why do you care? But he was too tired to put real venom in the words. Because Min-jun would be sad if something happened to you. Now where's the kit? Ji-hoon gestured vaguely at a cabinet. Kira found the supplies, returned, and began cleaning his knuckles with practiced efficiency. This close, she could see the details of his tattoos. Not just the dragon, but Korean script winding down his arms. Dates she assumed were significant, names she couldn't read. You were a paramedic, Ji-hoon said. But Ji-hoon it wasn't a call for guards. Your cover story. He just held her wrist. Was that part true? Studying her face like he could decode her secrets, some of it pure observation. Which parts were lies? You should be afraid of me, he said quietly. His hand caught her wrist, but you're not, but firm. Even now, forcing her to knowing what I am, what I do matters. You're not afraid. Because I don't know what you are. Because I've killed two. I don't know why you're here. Because I understand monsters. But I know you're not just a maid. You're because the only thing I'm afraid of is that I'm starting to see you as human. His thumb brushing against her pulse point where it raised beneath her skin. She told a different truth. Because your son trusts you. This was and children know. He'd figured it out. They can sense who's really dangerous guards and who's just broken. She'd be tortured for information tightened for just a moment. The mission released her, turning away, his shoulders rigid. You don't know anything about me. I know you read fairy tales at 2 a.m. I know you refused a weapons deal because it would put children at risk. I know you inherited this life and hate it, but don't know how to escape it. Kira was speaking recklessly now, all the observations she'd cataloged over weeks spilling out. I know you're terrified of failing your son the way your father failed you. Stop. The word was sharp as a blade. I know you loved Min-jun's mother. I said stop. Ji-hoon spun back to face her, and there was real pain in his eyes now, real vulnerability. You think you know me because you've read my son bedtime stories? Because I let you see me tired? You don't know what I've done, the people I've killed, the lines I've crossed. Then tell me. Let me understand. Why? So you can judge me? So you can look at me with the same fear everyone else has? No. So I can understand who you really are. Because I don't think you're the monster you pretend to be. The air between them was charged, dangerous. Ji-hoon stepped closer, and Kira's training screamed at her to move, to defend, to maintain distance. But she held her ground. My wife, Ji-hoon said finally, his voice rough, was killed 2 years ago. Government agents murdered her because I refused to run weapons for them. They wanted to use my organization for their black market operations. I said no. So they killed her and made it look like a rival gang execution. They left her body in the street with a false gang symbol drawn in her blood to frame their enemies. Kira felt the words like physical blows. Government agents. False gang symbol. Her mind raced, pieces clicking together that she didn't want to acknowledge. I became what I am to protect my son, Ji-hoon continued. Built walls high enough that no one could hurt him. Made myself feared enough that no one would dare try. And I've crossed every line, broken every rule, become exactly the monster my father raised me to be. All to keep Min-jun safe. So don't tell me you understand. Don't tell me I'm not what I pretend to be. This is who I am. No, Kira's voice came out stronger than she felt. This is what they made you. There's a difference. Ji-hoon stared at her for a long moment. Then, with a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob, he reached out and cupped her face with his bruised, bloodied hands. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish. I haven't decided which. Maybe both. Maybe. His thumb traced her cheekbone, a touch far too intimate for employer and employee. I should fire you. Send you away before you get hurt. Before you become another casualty of my life. But you won't. No. God help me, I won't. His voice dropped to a whisper. Because Min-jun needs you. And maybe I need you too. He kissed her then, and Kira knew she should stop it, should pull away, should remember her mission and her sister and every reason this was wrong. But his lips were gentle despite his reputation for violence, his touch careful despite his blood-stained hands, and she found herself kissing him back. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-hoon pressed his forehead against hers. This is a mistake. I know. We can't do this. Can't be this. I know. But neither of them moved. Neither pulled away. They stood there in the quiet office, two broken people pretending they could somehow fix each other, while the truth waited like a blade between them. Kira left eventually, slipping back to her quarters in the pre-dawn darkness. She lay in her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to reconcile everything she believed with everything she'd just learned. Government agents killed Ji-hoon's wife, used a false gang symbol, just like they'd used the Kang dragon symbol at Sarah's murder scene. Just like Director Choi had shown her that symbol and told her the Kang syndicate was responsible. The pieces were there, scattered and damning. Kira didn't want to put them together, didn't want to see the picture they formed. But her training wouldn't let her ignore it. She pulled out the burner phone she'd hidden in her mattress, the one with the encrypted connection to the agency servers. Her fingers shook as she typed in her access codes, navigating to the classified files she wasn't supposed to access. Sarah Song. Investigation files. The documents loaded slowly, each page adding weight to the dread in Kira's stomach. Sarah had been investigating government corruption, black market weapons deals, human trafficking, operations run by high-ranking officials using criminal organizations as fronts. She'd been getting close to exposing the whole network. Then she died, and the Kang dragon symbol, the Kang organization's trademark, had been left at the scene, had been photographed, documented, used as evidence that Ji-hoon's syndicate was responsible. But according to Ji-hoon, they'd done the same thing to his wife, killed her, and planted a false gang symbol. Kira's hands were trembling so badly, she nearly dropped the phone. She dug deeper, accessing files she definitely wasn't authorized to see. Director Choi's operation records, black budget expenditures, classified missions. And there it was, buried in encrypted reports. Project Nightingale, asset elimination. Target, Sarah Song, investigative journalist. Method, staged gang execution. Symbol, Kang dragon, planted evidence. Collateral, frame Kang syndicate, eliminate future cooperation threat. Kira couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The words blurred on the screen as tears streamed down her face. They killed Sarah. Not Ji-hoon. Not the Kang syndicate. Director Choi killed Sarah. And then he'd used Kira's grief as a weapon. Turned her into an assassin aimed at the one man who had evidence of the conspiracy. The one man who'd refused to cooperate with their corruption. The man she just kissed. The man she was supposed to kill in less than 72 hours. Kira barely made it to the bathroom before she was sick, her body rejecting the truth as violently as her mind wanted to. She knelt on the cold tile, gasping for air, Sarah's face swimming in her memory. I'm sorry. God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I almost killed an innocent man for them. Almost orphaned a 7-year-old boy. Almost. A soft knock on her door made Kira freeze. She wiped her mouth, shoved the phone back into its hiding place, and tried to compose her face into something resembling normal. Ji-hoon. Mrs. Beck's voice. Are you all right? I heard. I'm fine. Just food poisoning, I think. Do you need the doctor? No. No, I'll be okay. Thank you. Silence. Then Mrs. Beck's footsteps retreating. Kira sat on the edge of her bed, her mind racing through impossible calculations. She had to warn Ji-hoon. Had to tell him what she'd discovered. Had to. But how could she explain knowing classified information without revealing who she really was? How could she confess she'd been sent to kill him without destroying every shred of trust she'd built? And even if she told him, what then? Choi would send another assassin. Would probably kill Kira for betraying the mission. Would definitely kill Min-joon to tie up loose ends. Unless they exposed everything first. Unless they used Ji-hoon's evidence combined with what Kira could access to blow the entire conspiracy wide open. Unless they moved fast enough that Choi couldn't cover his tracks. But that meant Kira would have to confess everything. Would have to look Ji-hoon in the eyes and admit she'd infiltrated his home, gained his son's trust, kissed him, all while planning to put a bullet in his head. The man had every reason to kill her. Would be completely justified in doing so. Kira thought of Min-joon's drawings. Of Ji-hoon teaching himself to read fairy tales in different voices. Of the way he'd looked at her tonight, vulnerable and hopeful and terrified all at once. She thought of Sarah, who died trying to expose the truth. The decision crystallized with painful clarity. She'd tell Ji-hoon everything. Tonight. Before Choi's deadline expired. Before anyone else got hurt. She'd give him the truth and let him decide what to do with it. Even if that meant her own death. For Sarah. For real this time. Kira waited until late, 2 a.m., when the house was quiet except for the guards' periodic patrols. She crept through the corridors she'd memorized, bypassing security cameras, avoiding checkpoints, making her way to Ji-hoon's private study. The door was ajar. Light spilled into the hallway. Kira pushed it open and found Ji-hoon at his desk, still awake, staring at documents with exhausted eyes. Couldn't sleep? His voice held no surprise, as if he'd been expecting her. We need to talk. About who I really am and why I'm here. That got his attention. Ji-hoon's eyes sharpened, his hand moving subtly toward the gun she knew he kept in his desk drawer. I'm listening. Kira stepped into the room, closing the door behind her. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was it. No more lies. No more hiding. My real name is Kira Song. 3 years ago, my sister Sarah was murdered while investigating government corruption. The police said it was gang-related. They showed me crime scene photos with the Kang dragon symbol drawn in her blood. And I believed them. Ji-hoon had gone very still, his face unreadable. Director Choi recruited me 6 months later. Trained me. Turned me into exactly what he needed. An assassin with a personal vendetta. And 3 weeks ago, he sent me here with one mission. Get close to you. Gain your trust. And then kill you. The words hung in the air like smoke. Kira watched Ji-hoon's hand close around the gun, watched him stand slowly, the weapon now visible between them. So everything, he said quietly, was a lie. Min-joon's panic attack. The bedtime stories. Tonight, his voice cracked slightly. All of it was manipulation. At first, yes. I came here to kill you. Believed you'd murdered Sarah. Believed the dragon symbol was proof. Kira's voice was steady even as her hands shook. But then I learned the truth. Tonight, I accessed classified files. Sarah was killed by government agents, by Director Choi's team. They planted the Kang symbol to frame your organization, just like they did with your wife. Ji-hoon's grip on the gun tightened. You expect me to believe this? That you conveniently discovered you're working for the wrong side right before you're supposed to kill me. I have proof. Encrypted files, mission records, everything. Sarah was investigating Choi's black market operations. She was going to expose the entire network. So they eliminated her and used the evidence to manipulate me into eliminating you. The one person who has evidence that could corroborate her investigation. Show me. Kira pulled out her burner phone, fingers flying across the screen to pull up the files. She held it out to Ji-hoon, who took it cautiously, gun still trained on her as he read. She watched his expression change, suspicion giving way to shock, then to rage, then to something darker. When he finally looked up, his eyes were murderous. He killed them both. Killed your sister and my wife, and then sent you here to finish cleaning up his mess. Ji-hoon's voice was deadly calm. And you almost did it. You almost killed me, orphaned my son, destroyed everything. I know, and I can't. Kira's voice broke. I can't undo it. Can't take back the lies, or the deception, or the fact that I came here to murder you. But I'm telling you now because you deserve to know. Because Min-jun deserves better than more lies. And because Sarah and your wife deserve justice. Real justice. Ji-hoon set the phone down, but the gun stayed level with Kira's chest. Give me one reason I shouldn't kill you right now. I don't have one. If you want to shoot me, I won't fight back. Won't blame you. I've earned it. Kira met his eyes steadily. But before you do, let me help you destroy them. Let me help you get justice for our families. Then you can kill me. I'll deserve it then too. The gun didn't waver. Long seconds stretched between them, taut as a wire. Then Ji-hoon lowered the weapon, setting it on the desk with a sharp click. I should kill you. Every instinct is screaming at me to end this now. But, he ran a hand through his hair, looking suddenly exhausted. But Min-jun asks about you constantly. Draws pictures of you. Sleeps better when you're there. And that's real, isn't it? Whatever else was fake, your care for my son was real. Yes. Kira's voice was barely a whisper. That was real. That was always real. Then we have a problem. Because I can't kill someone my son loves. And I can't trust someone who came here to kill me. So what the hell do we do now? Before Kira could answer, her burner phone, still on Ji-hoon's desk, lit up with an incoming call. Choi's secure line. They both stared at it. Don't answer, Ji-hoon said. But Kira's mind was racing. Wait. If I don't answer, he'll know something's wrong. We'll send a team immediately. So we're not ready. Don't have all the evidence compiled. Can't expose him yet without preparation. Kira looked at Ji-hoon. But if I answer and pretend everything's normal, we buy time. Time for what? Time to plan. Time to gather everything we need to bury him. Time to. The phone stopped ringing. Started again immediately. Ji-hoon studied her face for a long moment, then nodded sharply. Answer it. But on speaker. And if you even think about betraying me, I won't. Kira answered the call, her voice steady. Director. Status report. You're 30 hours from deadline. Choi's voice was clipped, professional. Are you ready to complete the mission? Kira locked eyes with Ji-hoon, saw him nod once. Yes, sir. I have a window tomorrow. Ji-hoon's taking his son to the aquarium. Public location, multiple exit routes. I can stage it to look like a rival hit. Ambitious. Why not at the estate? Too many cameras, too much security. The aquarium gives us plausible deniability. Makes it look like someone else took advantage of him being vulnerable. Silence on the other end. Kira could almost hear Choi's mind working, assessing the plan for flaws. And the boy. Kira's stomach clenched. What about him? He's a witness. A liability. You'll need to eliminate him too. Across the desk, Ji-hoon's face went white, then red with barely controlled rage. His hand moved toward the gun. Sir, he's 7 years old. He's a loose end. This is non-negotiable, Agent Song. You complete both eliminations tomorrow, or I send a cleanup team for all 3 of you. Are we clear? Kira forced the words past her constricted throat. Crystal clear, sir. Good. I'll have extraction standing by. And Kira? Don't make me regret trusting you with this. The call ended. Ji-hoon grabbed the gun again, but this time he wasn't pointing it at Kira. He was staring at it like he was considering shooting the phone instead. He wants you to kill my son. My 7-year-old son. He's tying up loose ends. Making sure no one can. Kira's voice broke. She'd known Choi was ruthless, but ordering the execution of a child. This is your handler. Your agency. These are the people you work for. Worked for. Kira's voice hardened. Past tense. Because I'm not killing Min-jun. I'm not killing you. I'm going to help you destroy every single one of them, starting with Choi. How? He's protected by the government. Has resources we can't match. And now he's sending a cleanup team to the aquarium. Ji-hoon stopped, realization dawning. That's why you suggested the aquarium. You're giving him a location. Setting up an ambush. Not an ambush. A trap. But one where we control the outcome. Kira leaned forward, her mind assembling the pieces. Choi thinks I'm completing the mission tomorrow. He'll send minimal backup because he believes I have it handled. But if we flip the script, if we stage your death, get evidence into the right hands, and expose the conspiracy before his team can clean it up, then we're fugitives instead of corpses. That's your plan. It's the only plan that keeps Min-jun alive. Unless you have a better idea? Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment, his tactical mind clearly working through scenarios. We'd need to disappear. New identities, new lives. I have resources, safe houses in other countries. But Min-jun deserves a life where he's not surrounded by violence, where he can be a normal kid. Isn't that what you want for him? Yes. But Ji-hoon met Kira's eyes, and the vulnerability there was devastating. Can I trust you? After everything, after all the lies, can I actually trust that you won't betray us? Kira thought of Sarah, thought of the 3 years she'd spent believing a lie, becoming a weapon for her sister's killers. Thought of Min-jun's drawings and Ji-hoon's careful fairy tale voices, and the family they could have been if circumstances were different. I can't give you proof. Can't promise I won't make mistakes or that this will work. But I can promise that I'll die before I let anyone hurt that little boy. And I'll do whatever it takes to get you both out of this alive. Even if it means dying yourself. Especially then. Ji-hoon studied her face, looking for deception, for cracks in her resolve. Whatever he saw there must have satisfied him, because he finally nodded. Then we do this together. But we do it my way. I call in my people, use my resources, A sound from the doorway made them both freeze. Daddy. Min-jun stood in the entrance, rubbing his eyes sleepily. His favorite dragon pajamas were rumpled, his dark hair sticking up in all directions. He looked between his father and Kira with confusion. Why is Ji-hoon here? Did I have a nightmare again? Kira's heart cracked. She'd been so focused on operational details that she'd forgotten the most important consideration. This 7-year-old boy who trusted her, who'd let her into his carefully guarded heart. Ji-hoon moved immediately to his son, scooping him up despite the child's age. No nightmare, buddy. Ji-hoon and I were just talking about tomorrow. About our trip to see the fish. The aquarium. Min-jun's face lit up. Can Ji-hoon come? Please. She's coming. I promise. And after? Can she stay with us after? Not like the other maids who left. Ji-hoon's arms tightened around his son. Over Min-jun's head, his eyes met Kira's, dark with unspoken questions and fragile, dangerous hope. Yeah, he said quietly. Ji-hoon's going to stay with us. For as long as she wants. Forever? Min-jun asked hopefully. Kira crossed the room, unable to stop herself from reaching out to brush the boy's messy hair. Forever sounds good. It was a promise she had no right to make. A future that might not exist past tomorrow. But looking at Min-jun's sleepy smile and Ji-hoon's conflicted expression, Kira meant every word. They'd make it work. Somehow they'd survive this. Or they'd die trying. For Sarah. For Ji-hoon's wife. For Min-jun's chance at a normal childhood. For all of them. Morning came too fast and too slow simultaneously. Kira had spent the night finalizing plans with Ji-hoon, coordinating with his people, preparing for every contingency they could imagine. By dawn, they had the outline of something that might actually work. The aquarium opens at 9, Ji-hoon said, reviewing their timeline one more time. Choi's team will be in position by 8:30, probably posing as tourists or maintenance staff. Standard 3-person unit, 2 shooters, 1 coordinator. 4, Kira corrected. Choi doesn't take chances. There'll be a 4th as insurance, probably at a distance with a rifle. You know his tactics. I was trained by him. Yeah, I know his tactics. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. My people will be scattered throughout the building. 15 total, all armed, all loyal. When Choi makes his move, we flip the script. I fake killing you in front of witnesses. Blood pack, blank round, perfect staging. Choi's team sees the mission complete, starts their extraction protocol. That's when your people move. Risky. A lot of civilians will be there. A lot of things that can go wrong. I know. Kira checked her weapon. The one Ji-hoon had provided after confirming it was clean, untraceable. But it's the only way to draw Choi into the open. He needs to believe he's won. Needs to think we're eliminated and he's safe. And Min-jun. Ji-hoon's voice was tight. He's going to see me die? Going to be traumatized. I know. I hate it. But if we tell him it's fake beforehand, he might react wrong and tip them off. He has to believe it's real. He already has abandonment issues. Panic attacks. This could. Ji-hoon stopped, his hands clenching. There has to be another way. But they've been over this a dozen times. There was no other way. Not one that kept Min-jun out of the line of fire. After, Kira said quietly. After this is done, we explain everything. Get him proper therapy. Give him the safe, stable life he deserves. But first we have to make sure he lives long enough to have that life. Ji-hoon nodded, jaw tight. I'm trusting you with my son's life. With everything. Don't make me regret it. I won't. And Kira? He caught her wrist, his grip gentle but firm. If something goes wrong, if it comes down to choosing between me and Min-jun, I save Min-jun. Always. Good. That's good. Something flickered in Ji-hoon's eyes, relief and sorrow mixed together. I meant what I said last night. About this being real. About wanting you to stay. Kira's throat tightened. We have to survive today first. I know. But after. If we make it through this. We will. I want to try. Want to see if we can be something more than just allies of circumstance. Kira should have deflected. Should have kept things professional. But looking at Ji-hoon, this man who'd been through hell and still found the capacity to hope, she couldn't bring herself to lie anymore. I'd like that too. The kiss was brief, almost chaste, weighted with all the things they couldn't say aloud. When they pulled apart, both were smiling despite everything. Then Min-jun burst into the room, already dressed and bouncing with excitement. Is it time? Can we go see the fish now? Ji-hoon swung his son into his arms. Almost, buddy. Just need to grab a few things. Is Ji-yeon riding with us? Wouldn't have it any other way. The drive to the aquarium should have been tense, but Min-jun's constant chatter about which exhibits he wanted to see first provided unexpected cover. In the rearview mirror, Kira spotted two of Ji-hoon's security vehicles maintaining careful distance. Somewhere ahead, Choi's team was already in position. Everything was in motion now. No turning back. The aquarium was busier than expected. School groups, tourists, families taking advantage of the weekday rates. Perfect cover for both sides. Kira's trained eyes picked out the operatives immediately. A woman by the entrance with an earpiece, a man near the shark tank pretending to read a map, another by the emergency exit. She didn't see the fourth. That worried her. Stick close, Ji-hoon murmured to Min-jun, taking his hand. To Kira, he added quietly, 30 minutes. We give them 30 minutes to get comfortable, think everything's normal. Then we move. Kira nodded. They proceeded into the aquarium like a normal family, father and son pointing at fish, their maid trailing respectfully behind. To any observer, they looked perfectly ordinary. But Kira's hand never strayed far from her concealed weapon. Her mind cataloged every exit, every potential threat, every civilian who'd need to be protected when this inevitably went sideways. 20 minutes in, Min-jun tugged them toward the touch tank. Can I pet the stingrays? Please. Sure, buddy. Ji-hoon helped his son reach into the shallow water, his expression soft despite the danger surrounding them. Kira watched them, these two people who'd somehow become her entire world in just 3 weeks, and felt something fierce and protective rise in her chest. They'd survive this. She'd make sure of it, even if she didn't survive herself. Her earpiece, the agency one she'd kept active, crackled to life. Alpha team in position. Target has been visual confirmed with the boy, awaiting Agent Song's signal. That was her cue. Kira took a breath, then spoke quietly into her concealed mic. Copy that. Moving to position now. To Ji-hoon, she murmured, it's time. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. Min-jun, how about we go see the big sharks? The really scary ones. Yeah. They moved toward the main viewing gallery, a large, dimly lit room with floor-to-ceiling windows looking into the massive central tank. Perfect dramatic setting. Perfect place for what came next. Kira's heart hammered as they entered. Fewer people here, easier to control the scene. She could see Choi's operatives closing in, subtle but unmistakable. Any second now. Daddy, look. That one's huge. Min-jun pressed against the glass, pointing at a tiger shark gliding past. Ji-hoon crouched beside his son, and Kira saw his hand trembling slightly as he pointed out different fish. This was it. The last normal moment before everything changed. Sir. Kira's voice was formal, loud enough to carry. We should move to the other exhibit. Security mentioned this area will be closing shortly. It was the signal, the code phrase they'd agreed on. Ji-hoon stood, reaching for Min-jun's hand, and that's when chaos erupted. Gun. Everyone down. The shout came from behind them, one of Choi's operatives creating the panic they needed as cover. People screamed, started running. In the confusion, Kira saw three of Choi's team converging, weapons hidden but ready. This was the moment. Now or never. Kira moved with the crowd, letting herself be jostled toward Ji-hoon. To anyone watching, it looked accidental. But her hand was already on her weapon, already pulling it free. Ji-hoon saw her coming. Their eyes met for a split second, trust and terror mixed together. And then he grabbed Min-jun, shielding his son's body with his own. No. Min-jun's scream was real, confused, terrified. Kira raised the gun. Time seemed to slow. She could see Ji-hoon's jaw clench, could see him brace for the impact, could see the blood pack hidden beneath his shirt that would rupture with the blank round's pressure. She fired. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Ji-hoon jerked backward, red blooming across his white shirt, and collapsed against the viewing glass. His eyes went wide, then unfocused, then still. Perfect. The performance was perfect. Min-jun was screaming now, a sound that tore Kira's heart in half. Daddy. Daddy, no. Daddy. The little boy tried to throw himself at his father's body, but Kira grabbed him, holding him back even as he fought her with desperate strength. Let me go? That's my daddy. You hurt my daddy. Shoo. It's okay. Kira was trying to comfort him while maintaining her cover, trying to signal Ji-hoon's people while keeping Choi's team convinced. But something was wrong. The fourth operative, the one she hadn't spotted, emerged from the shadows. And he wasn't heading for an exit. He was heading straight for Min-jun, weapon rising. Choi had ordered the boys' elimination too. They were going to kill Min-jun right here, right now, regardless of witnesses. Kira's decision was instantaneous. She shoved Min-jun behind her, raised her weapon, and shot the operative in the chest before he could fire. The man went down. The aquarium erupted into total chaos. And Kira's cover was completely, irrevocably blown. Hostile, one of Choi's team shouted. Agent Song has gone rogue. Eliminate her and secure the child. More guns appeared. Civilians were screaming, running, trampling each other in panic. And Min-jun was crying hysterically, still trying to reach his father's body. This wasn't the plan. Nothing about this was the plan. Kira grabbed Min-jun, pulling him into her arms despite his struggles. I know you're scared. I know you don't understand. But I need you to trust me, okay? Your daddy is. A bullet cracked past her head, too close. Kira ducked, returning fire, taking down another operative with lethal precision. But there were more coming. Too many. And she had a terrified 7-year-old in her arms, no backup in sight. And Ji-hoon moved. He surged up from where he'd died, blood pack torn open, gun in hand, and put 3 rounds into the nearest operative before the man could react. Get my son out of here, he roared at Kira. Daddy. Min-jun's voice was tiny, confused, hope and terror mixed together. You're alive. I'm alive, buddy. But we have to go. Now. Ji-hoon's people finally appeared, weapons drawn, moving to secure the exits and protect civilians. But Choi's team was fighting back, and the aquarium had become a war zone. Kira ran, clutching Min-jun close, bullets sparking off the floor behind her. Ji-hoon was at her side, laying down covering fire, his people forming a protective perimeter around them. They made it to a service corridor, relatively safe for the moment. Min-jun was still crying, but quieter now, his small body trembling against Kira's chest. I don't understand, he sobbed. What's happening? Why is everyone shooting? Kira looked at Ji-hoon, saw the anguish on his face. There was no time for gentle explanations. No time for anything except the truth. Your daddy and I are trying to protect you from some very bad people, Kira said, her voice as steady as she could make it. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to see all that. But we're going to get you somewhere safe. I promise. But you shot him. I saw you. It was fake, Min-jun. The blood, the falling, all of it was pretend. We needed the bad people to think it was real, so they'd make a mistake. And they did. So, Daddy's really okay. I'm really okay. Ji-hoon pulled his son into a fierce hug. And Ji-hoon saved your life just now. That man who was coming toward you. She stopped him before he could hurt you. Min-jun looked at Kira with eyes too old for 7. Are you really a maid? No. Kira hesitated, then decided he deserved honesty. I'm someone who made a big mistake. But I'm trying to fix it now. And I'm going to keep you safe. Both of you. Gunfire echoed from the main gallery. They were running out of time. We need to move, Ji-hoon said. My people can hold them here, but reinforcements will be coming. We have maybe 10 minutes before. His phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went pale. The evidence. Someone's uploading everything to news agencies, government oversight committees, international watchdogs. Every file about Choi's operations, every record of corruption, it's all going public. Right now. Kira felt a chill. Who? We didn't set that to trigger yet. I did. The voice came from behind them, and they spun to find Director Choi himself standing in the corridor, flanked by 4 heavily armed operatives. His gun was pointed directly at Min-jun. Insurance policy. If my people reported you'd gone rogue, the upload would trigger automatically. Congratulations, Agent Song. You just helped expose the very conspiracy you were trying to investigate quietly. Kira stepped in front of Min-jun, her weapon rising even though she was outgunned. Then it's over. You're exposed. Done. Perhaps. But I'm not going down alone. Choi's smile was cold. Kill them all. Leave no witnesses. Everything happened at once. Ji-hoon pushed Min-jun toward Kira while returning fire. Kira dove behind a maintenance cart, shielding the boy with her body. Bullets tore through the corridor, shredding walls, shattering lights. And then Ji-hoon's backup arrived. Not just his people from inside the aquarium, but vehicles screeching to a halt outside, men pouring through doors, a coordinated strike that had clearly been planned for exactly this contingency. Choi's forces were overwhelmed in seconds. The director himself went down with a bullet in his shoulder, his weapon clattering away. Silence fell, broken only by distant sirens. Kira slowly stood, checking Min-jun for injuries. The boy was pale, shaking, but unharmed. Ji-hoon appeared beside them, blood on his shirt, some fake, some real from a graze on his arm, but alive. Is it over? Min-jun whispered. Not yet, Ji-hoon said grimly, looking at Choi bleeding on the floor. But close. Kira's phone buzzed. News alerts were already exploding across the screen. Government corruption scandal exposed. Director Choi wanted for murder. International investigation launched. But there was another alert too. Kang Ji-hoon, an accomplice wanted for aquarium attack. They'd won, but they'd also been framed. The safe house was small, quiet, tucked away in a neighborhood where no one asked questions. Ji-hoon's people had gotten them here within the hour, providing fresh clothes, medical supplies, and burner phones with scrambled numbers. Min-jun had finally fallen asleep on the couch, exhausted by trauma and adrenaline crash. Kira sat beside him, one hand gently stroking his hair, while the other held a gun she couldn't seem to set down. Ji-hoon was at the window, watching the street, his posture tense. His bloodied shirt had been replaced with a simple black t-shirt that showed more of his tattoos, the dragon, the dates, the names of people he'd lost. The news is calling us terrorists, he said without turning. Saying we attacked a public building. Killed 4 people. Choi's final play. Frame us as the criminals, discredit anything we might say. It's working. Police have our photos, our descriptions. They're hunting us. Your people can get us out of the country. New identities, like you mentioned. Start over somewhere. No. Ji-hoon finally turned, his expression fierce. No running. We have evidence, testimony, proof of everything Choi did. We're going to clear our names. Do this right. That could take months. Years, even. And Min-jun deserves to know his father didn't run from the truth. Deserves to learn that sometimes doing the right thing is hard, dangerous, but still worth it. Kira looked down at Min-jun's sleeping face, so peaceful despite everything. He's 7. He shouldn't have to learn that yet. But he will. Because that's who we are. That's the family we're becoming. Ji-hoon crossed to them, kneeling beside the couch, so he was eye level with Kira. We're going to fight this. Together. As a family. Family, Kira repeated quietly. The word felt foreign and fragile and impossibly precious. Is that what we are now? If you want to be. Kira thought of Sarah, who died fighting for truth. Thought of Ji-hoon's wife, murdered for refusing corruption. Thought of Min-jun, this brave little boy who'd survived more trauma than anyone should have to. Yeah, she said finally. Yeah, I want to be. Ji-hoon's hand found hers, his tattooed fingers lacing through hers. Then we do this together. Clear our names, expose Choi, get justice for everyone he hurt. And then we figure out how to be a normal family. Whatever that looks like. I've never been normal. Neither have I. They sat there in the quiet, safe house, holding hands over a sleeping child, two broken people who'd found each other in the worst possible circumstances. Outside, the world was hunting them. The news painted them as villains. Choi's allies were probably already working to cover up his crimes. But they had each other, had evidence, had truth. And sometimes that was enough. Min-jun stirred, his eyes fluttering open. Daddy? Ji-hoon? You're still here. Still here. Kira confirmed, squeezing his hand. You promise? You won't leave like everyone else. Ji-hoon pulled his son into his arms, and Kira wrapped around both of them. And for a moment, they were just a family holding each other against the darkness. We're not going anywhere, Ji-hoon said. Not without each other. Never, Kira echoed. And she meant it. Whatever came next, trials, investigations, hiding, fighting, they'd face it together. For Sarah. For Ji-hoon's wife. For Min-jun's future. For the family they were becoming. The news played on in the background. Corruption scandal deepens. More officials implicated. Director Choi in custody. And underneath, Kang Ji-hoon. Crime lord or witness? The truth was complicated. But they had time to tell it. They had each other. And that was everything. If you've made it this far, thank you for joining Kira, Ji-hoon, and Min-jun on their journey. This is just the beginning of their story. In part 2, they'll fight to clear their names, bring down the rest of the conspiracy, and build the family they all deserve. Asterisk asterisk. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for part 2 coming soon, and comment below. Do you think Kira and Ji-hoon can clear their names? What do you want to see happen in part 2? Your feedback helps shape the story. Asterisk asterisk. Part 2. The Maid's Target, The Hunt Begins, drops next week. You won't want to miss what happens next.